There's a sound you should never hear at sunrise on a peaceful ranch, a gunshot. I was still half asleep when I heard it. That single crack shattered the quiet and sent my heart racing. I sprang out of bed, stumbled over my boots, and yanked the curtain open just in time to see a group of strangers in camo with rifles, marching across my pasture like it was theirs. 2 days ago, if you'd asked me who could stir up that kind of trouble, I'd say one name, Marlene. She wasn't just any neighbor. Marlene was the self-declared queen of the HOA in our little Colorado Valley. A woman so obsessed with control. She tried to fine a teenager for flying a birthday balloon above regulation height. The kicker? My ranch isn't even in the HOA's jurisdiction. Never was. Never will be. But that never stopped her. She called my land an eyesore. My animals a biohazard. And once filed a noise complaint because my rooster crowed at dawn, which, in case you're new to rural life, is what roosters do. Now, let me tell you about Thor. Thor was my prize bull. Jet black, massive, calm as a mountain, and smarter than some folks I know. I raised him from a calf, bottle-fed him when his mama couldn't, and he met me every morning at the fence for a scratch behind the ears. He wasn't just livestock. He was family. The day before the shot, I noticed tire tracks near the south fence. I knew every inch of my property, and those weren't mine. Joe, my drinking buddy and neighbor, later mentioned that he overheard Marlene boasting at an HOA meeting that she'd take care of the ranch problem herself. I laughed it off. She made empty threats all the time. I shouldn't have. I bolted out the door in jeans and boots, shotgun slung over my shoulder. Not to shoot, but because you don't walk into a potential hunting situation unarmed. I yelled, "Hey, you're trespassing." The guys looked up, totally unfazed. One even grinned. "Relax," he said. "We got permission." From who? That HOA lady. Said the owner was fine with it. That's when I saw Thor, standing at the edge of the pasture, curious about the newcomers. "No," I screamed. Too late. The tall one raised his rifle and fired. Thor staggered, swayed like a falling tree, and dropped. I ran, dropped everything, and sprinted. Thor was lying in the dirt, blood pooling, gasping. I pressed on the wound, but it was bad, real bad. One of the men mumbled something about a clean kill. I lost it. "You absolute morons. This is private land. That bull's worth more than your truck." I called the vet, then the sheriff. Marlene showed up 10 minutes later in her spotless white BMW, wearing a visor and carrying her clipboard like she was inspecting a salad bar. "What's all the fuss?" she asked. I looked her dead in the eyes. "You did this." Her smug smile didn't last. Deputy Carter arrived, and I showed him the deed clearly marking my land outside HOA bounds. One hunter tried to hand him a permit with a phony HOA stamp. Carter looked at it like it smelled bad. "Where'd you get this?" "She gave it to us," the guy said, pointing at Marlene. Sheriff Bledsoe pulled in minutes later. He glanced at the forged paper, then at Marlene. "Unless you've got the deed to this ranch," he said, "you're in deep trouble." Vet finally arrived. Said Thor had a Shota small one. We loaded him onto the trailer, and I whispered to him the whole way, "Hang on, buddy. We're not letting her win." Back home, I started building my case. Joe agreed to testify, and thanks to a string of petty thefts, I had trail cams set up everywhere, one of which caught Marlene handing a map to the hunters and pointing out how to sneak in. We took everything to Bledsoe. He watched the footage, stone-faced. "You've got her," he said. Still, I wanted more than a court victory. I wanted every neighbor to see who she really was. So when Marlene held a clarification meeting at the clubhouse, I showed up. So did Joe. So did half the community. She tried playing the victim, said she was misunderstood. Just doing what's best for the community. Even read fake letters from grateful neighbors. But the handwriting was the same as the forged permit. I held up a flash drive. I've got video proof of everything. Silence. Marlene blanched. Then bolted. I filed the civil suit next day. Damages for Thor's medical bills. Loss of income. Emotional distress, you name it. The sum made her husband consider early retirement. Meanwhile, Thor fought like a champion. Day by day, he got stronger. And as word spread, neighbors who used to cower around Marlene came knocking. They offered statements. Support, even casseroles. We organized a town hall outside HOA control. I set up a projector and rolled the tape. There she was, plain as day, directing armed strangers onto private land. The room exploded. By the time court day came, even her lawyer looked exhausted. The judge listened, watched the footage, read the HOA meeting minutes an elderly neighbor found in her attic hall showing Marlene's abuse of power. Her defense was a crying monologue about protecting children from livestock. The judge cut her off. You sent hunters onto private land. This wasn't about safety. It was about control. Verdict: guilty on all counts. $250. 000 in damages. Banned from HOA leadership. Restraining order. 6 months of mandatory service at the county animal shelter. Poetic. Back home, Thor recovered. Entered him in the state fair not for the ribbons, but for pride. When he won grand champion, the crowd roared. A reporter asked how I felt. Hard work, patience, and not backing down. That's how you protect what matters. Marlene sold her house soon after. No one said goodbye. Now, every evening, I sit on my porch with a mug of coffee. Thor grazes nearby, his shadow long in the sunset. We fought for this land. We earned this peace. And no HOA queen is ever taking it from us again. So what do you think? Was the punishment fair? Have you ever dealt with a rogue HOA or power-tripping neighbor? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one.